Hello and welcome to all the participants. And thank you, Bachelor and Carolina, for these introducing remarks. In this first presentation, I will introduce the main topic of this workshop, the geographical indication or GIs, and the effects that GIs may have on local development. So I will first present the concept of geographical indication. We will see what are the specific characteristics of a local typical product that is called origin-based product, the importance of protecting such products, and how GIs can provide this protection as an intellectual property right. Secondly, we will see the presence of GIs in the world and many examples, especially in ASEAN. And finally, we will illustrate the transformative effect of successful GIs with a French case study, the Espelette chili pepper, and we will see how a very typical and heritage product became a GI and fostered development in its area. So we can start by saying that famous origin-based products have been known and documented for a very long time. And in fact, for those specific products, giving the indication of the origin is a way for producers to inform consumers or buyers about the qualities of the product. And since the antiquity, we have many examples of origin-based products that are designated along with the name of their geographical origin. So we can see here example on the image of Lebanon cedars, very famous and very ancestral reputation. Wine from the Santorini Islands in Greece, also famous since the antiquity, or silks from China or India. So the fact that these products are existing is very, very ancestral. But what is new, or quite new, is the fact that the use of this name has been regulated on the market, and these names became legally protected. So this protection started in Southern Europe at the beginning of the 20th century, mainly in France, Italy, and Spain. This protection consists in recognizing officially a collective intellectual property of a group of producers who produce an authentic product, very original, with specific qualities. And the registration of the name will reserve the exclusive right of use of the name to the local producers. This intellectual property right was at first called designation of origin and now is called geographical indication. As we will see later on during this workshop, GIs may have born in Europe, but they very quickly developed at international level, and they are now implemented everywhere. And also, these labels are not only legal procedures, and the registration of geographical indications must go with the implementation of development projects in order to reach impact locally. So I'm French, so I can give some French examples of origin-based product that received the recognition as geographical indication in France and in Europe now. So we have, of course, Champagne, a very famous wine, sparkling wine. Also cheese like Roquefort, also very typical and very famous. And cognac, a spirit, which is also very famous and very appreciated in Asia. Of course, origin-based product and GIs do not apply only to wine or cheeses. We have, for example, fruits like apples from Limousin, or vegetables like sweet onion from Les Cévennes, which is a mountainous region in south of France, and also salt, sea salt from Guérande, which is a city located on the Atlantic coast of France. So how can we explain the specificity of origin-based products? In fact, many factors must be considered. And the first is that these typical products have distinctive characteristics due to the specific conditions of production. And we talk about typicity. Also, these products are famous. They have acquired a reputation of a quality or premium product on the market. The local conditions of production are considered as not transferable elsewhere. So it means that you cannot delocalize this product. It's impossible to get the exact same product produced elsewhere. So this product becomes totally unique. The identity of these product is strongly linked to the area of production, for landscape, cultural and local habits. And finally, the history of production is considered as a heritage, and the product is also considered as a symbol, very emblematic of the region. Regarding these distinctive characteristics, one very important point, which is at the heart of the concept of geographical indications, is the combination of both natural and human factors to produce origin-based product. So these special products are the result of complex interactions between the national aspects like landscape, soil, weather, or plant varieties that are located only in one region, and localized human factors that are based on the community of producers themselves, so their habits, the culture, religion, specific know-how, etc. And the combination of these natural and human factors is responsible for the uniqueness of the product. So why should we protect origin-based products? In fact, it's a very good question, because my background is agricultural economics, and in economics, in standard economics, we would say that this product maybe have kind of comparative advantage on markets. They are famous. They usually have a very visible added value. So why should we even more protect them? Well, in fact, this element of reputation, high prices will generate a risk of usurpation of the famous name. So for example, if I produce a sparkling wine in a region, anywhere in France maybe, or somewhere else, and I sell it as champagne, maybe it's an attempt from me to capture the added value of champagne, the reputation of champagne, but I did not contribute to the effort of the community of production to generate this reputation through time and generations. So this would be an usurpation of the name. And usurpation will have very negative impacts on the genuine producers themselves, who will face the unfair competition. Also a negative impact on consumers, who will purchase a product and pay a high price for a product that will not have the quality that they were expected. And also usurpation has a negative impact on the product itself and on its qualities. So this is why it is very important to protect the name of origin-based product by registering the GI. So how can GIs legally protect this specificity? To register a GI, the competent authority of a country will examine two elements: a book of specification and a delimitation of a geographical area of production. In the book of specification, you will have all the information regarding the production process, the product itself, its characteristics, the history of production, the history of the use of the name, maybe the name changed through time sometimes. And when a producer will comply with both the book of specification and will be located inside the GI area, then we can guarantee that this producer will produce a product that has the expected qualities. So if the link between the characteristics of the product and the geographical origin are well established in the GI registration application, then the competent authority will register the name and protect this name, and then will confer the right to use the name exclusively to the group of producers that are locally based in the area. It is a collective sign, and this is very important. For example, if we compare with commercial trademarks, so the management of the GI will be done collectively in the area of production, collectively by public, private actors, usually gather in a group that is called GI managing group. We'll talk about that later on during the workshop. So it is impossible for a single company, for example, to register a name and reserve the name for itself. For geographical name, it would be impossible. The control of the production process and the use of the name on markets is also done by the GI managing group itself, and also by competent authority at national level. And sometimes the control is also done by an external body. So after the registration, all the products that are using the name but that do not comply with this book of specification will be considered as usurpations of the name on the market. So as we mentioned before, GIs have been recognized as an intellectual property right first in Southern Europe from 1905 in France, and then in other countries in the European Union in 1992. The juridical framework has been updated many times, for instance, with the extension to the concept of GIs to non-agricultural products, such as handicraft products. And today we are in an ongoing revision of the EU policy of quality schemes and locally based products. In 1994, the World Trade Organization recognized the geographical indication as an intellectual property right by the TRIPS agreement, which is trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. So GIs are IPR, such as trademarks or industrial designs and so on. So let's see now more precisely the international protection provided by TRIPS agreement and its implementation. TRIPS agreement defines a GI as an indication which identifies a good as originating in the territory of a member or a region or a locality in that territory, where a given quality, reputation, or other characteristic of the good is essentially attributable to its geographical origin. we can say that before the 80s, GI's protection was essentially a European issue. It's important to stress that we are only talking about the legal protection. As I said before, origin-based product existed everywhere for centuries. But what was quite new was the legal protection of that as an IPR. So before the 80s, it was mainly a European question. And after TRIPS agreement, we witnessed a global trend toward the protection of origin-based products everywhere. Maybe it was also an answer to the increasing demand for local, traditional, eco-friendly food products. So we have maybe sometimes some confusions by consumers with all these valuing mentions. But scientific literature describe something called a quality turn at this after TRIPS agreement as a response, and GIs are kind of a response to consumers' interest for local food. The GIs protect all types of goods, so it can be agricultural products, food, wine, but also handicrafts. And TRIPS provides protection as long as the specific characteristics are maintained. So this is, for example, different from trademarks that you need to renew regularly. The TRIPS agreement is based on exactly the same GI concept as the one used in Europe. So a GI represents a link between place, people, and products. So here we have an example from, for example, cowpot pepper. So we have an area of production, producers, know-how, and a product with a typicity and a reputation. One very important point in TRIPS agreement is the Article 1.1, which say that all member states should protect GIs through the method of their choice. So it means that the members are left free to determine the appropriate way to protect GIs and to implement the provisions of the TRIPS agreement within their own legal framework and legal practice. And because of that, we observe significant divergences in the modes of production around the world. So we could identify 4 legal main categories to protect GIs. The first one is a sui generis system that recognize the GIs as a distinct category of rights. So this is the case in the European Union, for instance. The second category is countries that are using collective and certification mark to protect GIs. So it's a protection by the trademark regime. We also have countries where the GIs are protected by regulation focusing on business practices. So it will be Code of Consumer Protection and Fair Competition. And finally, in some countries, it's the origin-based products are protected by administrative systems, mainly by labeling procedures. We can see in the table that the majority of countries that are actively protecting GIs are using a sui generis system for 63% of the countries, and 32% are using the trademark regime. An interesting fact is the possibility for a country to use a combination of a system of protection. For example, to combine sui generis system and the trademark regime. It is the case in Australia, Canada, and the USA, for example, where the protection of GI for all products is ensured through collective or certification marks, But for wine and spirits, they have a specific sui generis system. And I think it's also the case for Vietnam, where we have a coexistence of GI protection as sui generis and collective marks to protect the origin-based product. So in the world, each country has developed or is developing a national juridical framework to protect origin-based product and their reputed names. So we have on the top left corner, we have the two logos of European Union. We have two levels of protection in Europe. So we have two different logos. And also we have the logos from Japan, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Laos, PDR. And of course, not only in Asia, the labels here are from Ecuador, Jamaica, Colombia, West African countries, OAP, which is a gathering of West African countries for intellectual property, Argentina. So let's see now some example of GI products in the world. So we have from Indonesia, coffee Arabica Kintamani Bali, which was the very first geographical indication in Indonesia. In Vietnam, very famous fish sauce, Nuoc Mam Phu Quoc from Phu Quoc Island, very reputed, and you can see on the corner in the right, also the logo of protected GI in Europe. This product is recognized also in the European Union. From Latin America, in Colombia, Café de Colombia, very famous coffee. You can see they have a strategy to combine a lot of certification or label. You can see fair trade, also the European geographical indication, the organic European certification also. In Japan, the delicious Kobe beef that comes always with a certificate of authenticity, and you even have the pedigree of the animal on the certificate, mentioning all the parents of the beef. This is a very high level of traceability. From Africa, from Cameroon, white honey from Oku. And last but not least, a handicraft product from Thailand, Lampung brocade silk, very famous product from Thailand. Geographical indications are today a significant economic reality on all continents. So we count more than 8,000 GIs in the world, for example, and including in Europe, 4,000, in Asia, 3,500, including more than 2,000 GIs in China. In America, 400 in the north, 500 in the south, around 200 in Africa, and 130 in Oceania. ASEAN is one of the most active regions in the world for GI protection. It's a very dynamic region regarding GIs. There are more than 400 GIs registered, and 54 of them are protected outside the ASEAN community. We notice an increasing interest of ASEAN producers to register their product, and also a growing attention of ASEAN consumers to origin-based products. On the graphics, you can see the details of the ASEAN GI's registration per country, and also with the distinction between domestic GIs or foreign GIs. So to continue this first presentation, we will now look at a French case study, the Espelette chili pepper, and we will see the transformative effect of a successful GI product. The Espelette chili pepper is a typical origin-based product, and it is the symbol of its area of production in France. This chili pepper is cultivated in the extreme southwest of France. We are on the Atlantic coast and very close by the border with Spain. And this region is located just under the Pyrenean mountain, and it has a very nice weather, well watered, and it's very adapted to the cultivation of chili pepper. As you can see on the image, the chili pepper from Espelette is sold under three different forms. It can be sold fresh, with fresh whole peppers. Also, it can be sold in powder. And also can be sold the entire fruit, but dried. The producers of this region have delimited an area of production of 10 villages. You have the names of these 10 villages, and they have negotiated and finally agreed on a book of specifications which explain all the rules of production, traceability, quality control, and so on. There is only one single variety, which is allowed, and this is really the producers themselves that elaborated the rules of production and also how to guarantee the specificity of the product. A GI managing group, in France we say a syndicat du paiement d'Espelette, or ODG also. This GI managing group guarantees the implementation of the book of specifications. This GI managing group is composed by local farmers, processors, and traders. They were involved from the very beginning in the elaboration of the rules of production and processing, and also in the definition of the internal control they wanted to implement. And they are now responsible for this control. There is also the obligation of an external control done by an independent body. This is a regulation in France. And they are implementing traceability system. That means that they only sell what they produce, because there is a high risk of counterfeiting. So they are doing a volume control to ensure that they are only selling on the market. You cannot find Espelette chili pepper that do not come from Espelette. It will be taken by frauds. The GI registration has been a very, very long and progressive collective story. As many other origin-based products, it started with an attempt to directly register the name, which failed in '93. The reason of this refusal was that the competent authority judged that there were insufficient justification regarding the link between the product and the origin, and also due to a lack of local governance capacity. It took 10 years to local actors, public actors, private actors, to create and empower a local GI managing group. And after years and years of workshops and negotiation, they finally registered the name in France in 2000 and then 12 years after in Europe, at European level. The GI recently celebrated the 20 years of Espelette chili pepper. There is a very clear evolution of the value chain. So there were around 30 producers in 97, and today there are more than 200. At the same time, we can see on the graphics the volume of production in orange and the number of producers that increased drastically during the period. The geographical indication fostered economic development and also tourism in the region. In the village of Espelette, you can see pepper drying on the houses. It is very attractive for tourism. You can see these harmonious colors everywhere. They receive a lot of tourists in a kind of a small village. And regarding the value chain, 65% of the farmers that are located inside the GI area are growing peppers today. And 77% of them are even processing and selling the pepper themselves. And it is estimated that 250 local jobs have been created thanks to the geographical indication dynamics. One of the important promotional events for this product is the Chili Pepper Festival that is organized every year in the region. You can see the number of visitors they are receiving for each festival. We can also see the website of the tourism office of the village. So it's like Pepper Village. It's only red and pepper everywhere. And of course, the GI managing group also has its own website to do collective promotion of the product and reinforce the reputation of quality of the product. To conclude this first presentation on the geographical indication concept and its internationalization, we can say that origin-based products exist everywhere and for a very long time. The juridical protection of these names and reputations of this product is quite new. It started in Europe around a century ago and then rapidly developed to international level. ASEAN is very active in the support and protection of geographical indications. Origin-based products are specific products, kind of exceptional products. They have a very special identity and history. They are the result of a history and of a complex interaction between natural and human localized factors. To protect and promote these exceptional products, bio-GI can have a transformative effect by fostering development in the area while valorizing local resources. Thank you very much.